Many places are filled with mysterious discoveries, but the second largest continent, Africa, beats most of them. The African continent is known for its peculiarities. From its deserts to the tropical forests and unique climate, the mother continent is known to have harbored humanity and animals in its region longer than any other continent of the world. Africa is also home to more countries than anywhere else on a global scale, with Cape Verde, Madagascar, and Mauritius Islands only to mention a few. With every passing day, there are new findings in the regions that cannot be explained and are fascinating yet terrifying at the same time. Scientists have made a terrifying new discovery that is set to change everything, including what we think is possible and what is not. What is this new discovery and how will it affect the continent's history? Join us as we explore scientists' new discoveries in Africa that can change everything. Discovery of new continent and ocean. In 2005, the whole world witnessed a weird phenomenon in Africa. Along the Ethiopian deserts, a gigantic 35-mile-long rift broke the open ground, splitting the continents. After research, scientists suggest that this will be the beginning of a new ocean and continent in Africa. This new study was written and published in the Geophysical Research Journal. It comprised seismic data about the rift's formation and proved that steps in the formation of this rift are the processes that happen at the bottom of a regular ocean. This research proposed that it could have been African and Arabi tectonic plates colliding in the Ethiopian desert which brought about the phenomenon. Since both tectonic plates collided, they had separated for approximately 30 billion years. This phenomenon is believed to have happened with the Red Sea, but it's almost hard to notice due to its slow separation of an inch per year. When a new study about the Ethiopian desert's rifts was confirmed, the researchers found that the two lands separated at a rate of 7 millimeters per year. As a matter of fact, African countries like Uganda and Zambia might have their own coastlines due to this new ocean formation. More theories from scientists say that some active volcanoes in Ethiopia located along the rift's line might give more meaning to this occurrence. These volcanoes include Alu Dalapilla in Ethiopia and the old Doinyo Langai volcano in Tanzania. Another volcano in the picture is the Erta Ali volcano, spewing lava non-stop for the past 50 years. This volcano makes scientists believe that its magmatism is one of the factors influencing this ocean's formation along with the other volcanoes. Also, the fact that these highly active volcanic boundaries are along the edges of these tectonic ocean plates may cause the rift to break apart in large sections instead of gradually, as the case should be. Dinosaur uncovered in Zimbabwe. The discovery of a new ocean is not the only intriguing phenomenon seen in Africa. One of the oldest dinosaur species was found on the soils of the mother continent. This unearthed skeleton is regarded as the oldest dinosaur species to walk on the continent's surface and was discovered in Zimbabwe. Scientists have been working on this excavation site since 2017. 5 years after careful excavation, they found the Embiosaurus rathi, a nearly complete skeleton. Named M. rathi, the dinosaur is a sauropodomorph, a relative of the towering long-necked sauropods like Brachiosaurus and Apatosaurus. This dinosaur fossil is speculated to be roughly around 230 million years old and is said to be among the oldest dinosaurs ever found. The skeletons were studied and scientists proposed that M. rathi lived around the late Triassic period, some 252 million years ago, along the banks of an ancient river that later evolved into Zimbabwe. Measured at 6 feet long and 1.5 feet tall at the hip, the sauropodomorph was not a tiny dino. However, later sauropods would have dwarfed it. This discovery showed scientists that the earliest dinosaurs were small, not the giants we think of, although there were giant dinosaurs such as the massive 122-foot-long Patagotitan, a later sauropod. Quartzite was found close to Madagascar. The African continent is known to be blessed with several natural resources, but an extraordinary discovery was made on an island close to Madagascar and the eastern coast of Africa. Finding these rocks on the island was a shocking thing. It was named an almost impossible discovery because these sets of rocks discovered on the island were not supposed to be there, as they are not ordinary rocks. How a non-volcanic rock like the quartzite doubled on an island formed from volcanic factors remains a mystery. Researchers at a Colombian university discovered the quartzite gathers its mass on one half of a mountain on Anjouan Island. Anjouan Island is a 400 square mile island that is a part of the Comoros Islands. Similar to the Hawaiian Islands chain, Anjouan formed to be an island due to volcanic eruptions, which makes the whole concept of quartzite situated on the island more intriguing. Although a rock like quartzite is not the first non-volcanic rock to be found on the island, its increased presence is what baffled scientists and geochemists. In the 1980s, there were words about scattered outcroppings of quartzite on the island, but it wasn't like what the researchers Cornelia Klaas and her team discovered on the islands in 2018. Tongue child. This was the very first discovered fossil of Australopithecus africanus. The fossil was identified as a prehistoric being, a primitive hominin, by Raymond Dart, a paleoanthropologist. Having discovered such a rare artifact, Raymond Dart named it Australopithecus africanus, which means southern ape of Africa. Being one of the first sets of Australopithecus africanus discovered, the tongue specimen has a natural cast of its skull's insides, which also have the face orientation of a 3 or perhaps a 4-year-old child. The young child has an ape-sized brain that was only 1/3 the size of modern humans today, but the skull was seen to have human-like teeth. The tongue child was discovered and exhumed by miners in South Africa in 1924. Before the skull was tested, scientists had almost disputed the tiny brain of the skull to be a human ancestor, but the skull study proved them wrong. When the primitive skull was studied, it was seen that the skull's foramen magnum, which is the hole at the skull's base, showed the posture of an upright human and not a knuckle-walking ape. When the study was completed, it was later discovered that the evolution of humans started with bipedalism. Bipedalism is the adoption of walking with 2 legs while the brains is still basically ape-like. Unfortunately, miners destroyed the tongue child's discovery site before geologists and paleontologists could figure out his exact age. However, animal fossils were found alongside the skull, dating from 2.3 to 2.8 million years ago. Since the tongue child was discovered, more fossils have been found from the limestone caves in South Africa. The richest source where these fossils were discovered was in Sterkfontein. Sterkfontein was where South African paleontologist Robert Broom began collecting hundreds of primitive specimens with his team. Starting in 1936, Broom started his journey by only buying fossils, but in 1946 he began to excavate, assisted by his team of expert workers, which still continues to this day. Sterkfontein is also one of the sites with the richest information on human evolution, dating as far back as 2.5 to 3 million years ago. Alien matter found in South Africa's mountains. Many discoveries have been made in South Africa, including aliens. The Mkonjwa Mountains in South Africa are home to some of the oldest rocks on Earth, so discovering something a little bit out of the ordinary was breathtaking. Scientists explored the Mkonjwa Mountains and discovered a trace of extraterrestrial organic matter buried under volcanic sediment. This organic matter dates as far back as 3.3 billion years ago. For several years, Earth has welcomed several visitors from the solar system as they rained violently on Earth upon impact. Even astrobiologists were shocked at this phenomenon, saying it is the first time they have found proof of extraterrestrial carbon in terrestrial rocks. Could it be that these space rocks leave a gift behind? Well, it could be more than what we imagined. Many scientists believe that some of the pillars that sustain life here on our planet might have arrived as spacefaring molecules. This new discovery in the Mkonjwa Mountains gives more possibilities to this theory. In a part of the Mkonjwa Mountains region known as the Barberton Greenstone Belt, a team of researchers uncovered a 2 mm thick rock layer in a volcanic deposit. 2 anomalous signals characterized this strange rock. Could these signals have been from an alien civilization? The team decided to study the rock further, so by using electron paramagnetic resonance spectroscopy, they found out that the mysterious rock contains 2 types of unexplainable organic matter. When further tests were carried out on them, the outcome confirmed that both organic matters suggest extraterrestrial origin. Apart from this organic matter being of alien origin, they're also the oldest extraterrestrial organic matter that has ever been identified. One of the EPR signals looks similar to something scientists have observed before in carbonaceous chondrites, which are ancient meteorite samples that contain organic compounds. The other signal reading gave a narrative to nickel, chromium, and iron nanoparticles. These are materials that are not usually present in earthly rock formations. The particular signal reading gave more reasons to believe that parts of its thin rock layer came from anywhere else but Earth. One thing that baffles scientists is how the two different EPR signals that clearly contradict each other could coexist at the same time in history. This phenomenon held the research team to brainstorm, as it was hard to know for sure. In their journal, they said, "It is difficult to envisage a single impact event preserving both organic matter and spinel particles in such a thin, sedimentary layer," the authors wrote in their paper. On the one hand, hydrogenated organic matter can survive only if the temperature of the falling matter does not exceed a few hundred degrees. On the other hand, cosmic spinels are formed by a high degree of melting of the object as it falls towards the Earth's surface. However, the scientists proposed that a hail of micrometeorites might have mixed in the skies with volcanic ash clouds as the matter landed towards the Earth. As a result, bits of extraterrestrial carbon were kept alongside freshly formed cosmic spinels and were preserved for billions of years until their discovery. Although scientists haven't hypothetically proven how it happened, if it rained like a meteorite or if an alien civilization brought it, still it is a significant discovery in Africa and a massive milestone in the science of extraterrestrial organics. The mystery of Namibia's desert fairy circles. The Namib Desert is covered in thousands of fairy rings, but why is there such a large polka dot pattern? People have spent a lot of time trying to figure out why particular planetary occurrences happen, whether they are caused by geological, celestial, environmental, or weather factors. But without science, people have frequently turned to storytelling. Some prehistoric tribes thought the sun's momentary extinguishment during a total eclipse was the consequence of some horrible creature attempting to swallow it whole. Tsunamis, volcano eruptions, and earthquakes have all been attributed to divine vengeance. Many of these phenomena have been explained scientifically throughout the years, although there isn't always unanimity among researchers, as is the case with Namibia's fairy circles. The circles are actually vegetation-covered bare soil spots. They can be found in their thousands in the Namib Desert. In great part, the fairy rings have eluded understanding. Local folklore claims that these are either charred spots brought about by a dragon's hot breath or footprints left by the gods. Ostriches rolling around in the dust and radioactive contamination are two explanations put up by scientists as to why the rings are formed. There are, however, two widely accepted theories that have fervent supporters that explain how the circles formed. According to one theory, the circular patches are the result of sand termites clearing vegetation from surrounding their nests underneath. The alternative argument is that the pattern might be explained by plants vying for water. So are they termites or plants? The demands of each camp's respective beliefs are hotly defended, but research from a team of scientists published in the journal Nature suggests that both hypotheses are valid. Both mechanisms taken separately cannot account for the emergence of the circles. The pattern might be best explained by the interaction of the termites and plants, according to the team's computer models. Nevertheless, not everyone appreciates this suggestion. The research did not address the prevalence of such rings in places free of termites, according to Dr. Stephen Getzin of the German Helmholtz Center for Environmental Research, who is firmly on Team Plant. It appears that the enigma has not yet been fully solved. Anyone who is even the slightest bit interested in extraterrestrial life is looking for concrete evidence that they exist. The hard evidence has yet to materialize. Crop circle patterns appear to be one such instance, albeit conventional scientists have not yet verified their construction by extraterrestrial visitors. Another instance of proof of extraterrestrial visitors could be found in the stunning sky blue stone known as sky stones. Since the 1990s, legends have surrounded the blue stone with white veins that has a matte appearance. The narrative centers on an enigmatic character, a geologist by the name of Angelo Pittoni, who traveled to Sierra Leone in West Africa. A Fula chief in Sierra Leone sold the odd blue stones to Italian geologist Angelo Pittoni in 1990. The tribe insisted that the stones were left behind by heavenly visitors. Pittoni traveled back to Europe before bringing the enigmatic rocks to a university for examination. The findings revealed that the stones didn't correspond to any recognized mineral. The reason the stones kept their blue tint eluded the researchers as well. A small bit was ground up and examined under a microscope, but no blue tint was seen. High heat would not change the mineral in the stone. Acids couldn't degrade it either. An additional examination revealed that 17.17% of the stone contained oxygen. Calcium, carbon, and an unidentified organic substance made up the remaining components. the sky stones could be 55,000 years old or older. Because of the History Channel's Ancient Aliens series and another individual, American artist and designer Jared Collins, the tale has currently gathered prominence. Collins makes an appearance in the Star Gods of Sirius carrying a briefcase full of sky stone samples. Collins confirmed that the sky stones are unlike anything on Earth after years of travel and study. It seems that each sky stone is unique. While not proof that extraterrestrials brought the stones to Earth, it's still compelling hard evidence and food for thought. It's only one part of a much bigger story concerning the African tribe's faith in heavenly beings. Ever heard of a lake that can turn you into a stone? The parched northern region of Tanzania is home to Lake Natron, which is unlike any other lake you've ever seen or heard of or possibly even imagined. Why? First off, parts of it occasionally turn red. We bet you've never seen a red lake. Lake Natron is distinctive not only because it occasionally turns red, but also because it's extremely caustic, alkaline, due to the surrounding volcano. It is poisonous to most animals because of this. In and around the lake, there are dead animals and birds. Because of this, Lake Natron is sometimes referred to as Tanzania's stunning but deadly red lake. So how is it lethal? Cyanobacteria are present in great abundance in Lake Natron's water. The majority of the species that eat this algae suffer cell, brain system, and liver damage as a result of the toxin it releases into the environment. As a result, many of the birds and animals that drink from Lake Natron wind up dead. The lake's mirror-like surface tempts birds into diving it, which gets them killed. The animals, birds, and bats that perish in the water become mummified replicas of themselves after being calcified. Many of these preserved creatures were placed in lifelike stances before being photographed by the great artist Nick Brandt. Lake Natron gets its name from the fact that it contains a lot of sodium carbonate, which is what natron is. Why is Lake Natron red? Parts of the lake often appear as a deep red or orange. The cause of the colors is a type of algae. A type of bacteria that flourishes in soda lakes often creates algae blooms, which in turn color the water. The algae bloom of Lake Natron wax and wane, such that the lake's redness is not a fixed hue. The fringe of the lake also often looks more orange than red. Can any creature survive in this lake? Yes, the lake is a paradise for flamingos. They are protected against burns by their thick skin. Additionally, the lake is a secure environment for breeding since its toxicity deters predators. Notably, certain fish and invertebrate species can thrive closer to the lake's edges. When is this lake at its most beautiful? If you need walking tours around the lake, you can choose to visit it during the dry or rainy season, but avoid attempting to swim in it. The next discovery in Africa may seem familiar to you because they're often portrayed in movies by the Western world. However, the truth is far from what you see on the screen. Many people in the Western world may associate voodoo with sticking pins in dolls and harming people. But for the people of Benin in West Africa, voodoo is a different reality of life. In fact, voodoo plays many fascinating parts in their daily lives, where it's recognized as a religion. It has its own public holidays and even a national museum. Voodoo is more than a belief system. It is a complete way of life, including culture, philosophy, language, art, dance, music, and medicine. The voodoo spiritual world consists of Mao, the supreme being, and about 100 divinities or voodoos who represent different phenomena, such as war and blacksmiths, goo, illness, healing, and earth, Sakpata, storms, lightning, and justice, Ivioso, or water, Mamiwata. Voodoo priests ask these gods to intervene on behalf of ordinary people, but local adherents stress that they have nothing to do with sorcery or black magic. You can ask voodoo for help with basically anything: finding a job, curing a sickness, finding a romantic partner, or help with childlessness, winning an election, passing an exam, and so forth. Interestingly, many people that profess other faiths look to voodoo for help too, as voodoo is quite liberal and welcomes everybody. And when you get what you need from voodoo, you can express your gratitude with an offering, which may be a chicken, sheep, or even some alcohol. A new human species. Human evolution has many gaps and mysteries that have been a puzzle for scientists for quite some time. Back in 2013, a bounty of fossils was discovered deep in a South African cave that hinted toward the existence of an entirely new species with a surprising combination of features belonging to the genus Homo. The discovery of hundreds of Homo naledi fossils was the largest find ever made on the African continent, and it opened a wide array of fascinating possibilities. The fossils displayed a unique mix of modern and archaic traits and shook the understanding of the origins and diversity of the human lineage. Cavers discover the first Homo naledi fossils in a remote, almost inaccessible chamber deep within the Rising Star cave system near Johannesburg. Some other fossils were found in the second chamber called Lesedi, which displayed a unique combination of human and non-human traits. The tiny-brained species had shoulders, a torso like an ape's, and some unshakably human-like features. They were found to be 236,000 and 335,000 years old, with hands, wrists, and feet very similar to those of modern humans. The Homo naledi's anatomy further suggested that they walked on two legs with a modern gait and an efficient long-distance stride. Their shoulder position and shape of their fingers would have helped them climb and hang from trees, and could be traits retained from a more ape-like ancestor. Since the discovery of this new human species, many questions have arisen, like how their remains got to their final resting place, how the Homo naledi survived against the bigger-brained competitors, and whether they were our most recent ancestor instead of Homo erectus. The discovery of Homo naledi is a very unique finding and has heated the debate on human evolution, opening a wide range of possibilities about the origin of Homo and modern human beings. The mystery of the giant blue eye of Africa in Mauritania. The Richat structure, commonly referred to as the Eye of the Sahara or the Blue Eye of Africa, is a notable circular geological formation in Mauritania's Sahara Desert, close to Ouaddaine. It is quite noticeable from orbit and is almost 50 kilometers across. Its inferred age is greater than 100 million years. It was first thought to be an asteroid impact structure due to its high degree of circularity, and then it was thought to be a structure created by a volcanic eruption, which also seems unlikely given the lack of a dome of igneous rock or volcanic rock. However, it is now thought to be a highly symmetrical and deeply eroded geological dome that collapsed. According to a different team of scholars, it was created when God flooded the earth during Noah's time. But many people now believe that erosion-sculpted, uplifted rock is what caused it. However, it is still unclear how the Richat structure came to be almost circular and why the rings are equally spaced from the center. And new inquiries are raised. Some people are astounded by how much this edifice resembles Plato's depiction of Atlantis. There were 2 of land and 3 of water. Atlantis, when destroyed by the earthquake, became an insurmountable barrier of mud to voyagers sailing from hence to any region of the ocean, said Plato on the island's circular shape. And he mentioned a mountain that protected the city from the north, as well as one that embraced a wide plain with an oblong shape in the south. Greek refers to Atlantis as Nessos, or the island of Atlas. So we're talking about a geological formation from 100 million years ago that might have been Atlantis right in Africa's Sahara Desert. Africa's Sahara Desert. Africa, the hottest continent on Earth, has a large desert region covering much of its surface. Being the biggest desert on Earth, the Sahara is truly enormous. 9.4 million square kilometers make up its enormous size, which is larger than the entire USA. Another fascinating fact about the Sahara is that it's been expanding in the south at a rate of half a mile per month, or 6 miles per year, so it's becoming bigger. Although the Sahara Desert contains many different types of terrain, its most well-known feature is its sand dune fields, which are frequently shown in movies. The dune system makes up roughly 25% of the total desert and has a maximum height of over 600 feet, 183 meters. Many plant and animal species can be found in the Sahara despite its severe desert environment. The Sahara is home to more than 500 species of plants, 70 species of mammals, 90 species of birds, 100 species of reptiles, and several species of spiders, scorpions, and other small arthropods. Despite having North American roots, the camel is one of the most recognizable creatures of the Sahara. There are numerous other mammals that live in the Sahara, including gazelles, addaxes, cheetahs, caracals, desert foxes, and wild dogs. Numerous species of snakes, lizards, and even crocodiles may survive and even thrive in the desert climate if there is enough water. The Sahara is also home to a variety of arthropod species, including dung beetles, scarab beetles, deathstalker scorpions, and numerous ant species. According to scientists, plant species in the Sahara have adapted to the dry conditions by developing deep underground roots to uncover hidden water sources and spine-shaped leaves to reduce moisture loss. While the Nile Valley and other oasis regions of the desert host a wide variety of plants, including olive trees, date palms, and other shrubs and grasses, the driest parts of the desert are virtually barren of all plant life. Therefore, the fact that the largest frog species in the world is found in Africa may not actually come as a surprise. It goes by the moniker of Goliath bullfrog. The giant slippery frog is another name for the Goliath bullfrog, Conroa goliath. It is the largest frog known to exist. This animal can weigh up to 8 pounds and reach a length from snout to vent up to 12.5 inches. A Goliath bullfrog is around the size of your average house cat. Even the average human newborn weighs less than this frog. Strangely, the vocal sac is absent in these huge bullfrogs. They're unable to create mating cries as a result. This adorable, huge and harmless mammal is found in Equatorial Guinea and Cameroon. Being choosy feeders, Goliath tadpoles primarily consume the plant Dicraea warmingi, which is located close to waterfalls and along the banks of rapid rivers. As a result, between the nations of Cameroon and Equatorial Guinea, this species can only be found in one place in Africa. Dragonflies, locusts, and worms are among the insects that the adult Goliath frog eats. Along with fish, they also consume other amphibians, including newts, salamanders, and smaller frogs, as well as mollusks, crabs, other crustaceans, young snakes, turtles, and small mammals. They require being close to water just like other amphibians. They emerge at night and sit on river rocks to search for prey such as mice, fish, crabs, young turtles, and so forth. Bullfrogs called Goliaths have a lifespan of up to 15 years in the wild and over 20 years in captivity. They don't live as long in the wild for a variety of reasons. The main cause is primarily because they're being hunted for food, which is followed by habitat loss and degradation. Among other predators, it is preyed upon by snakes, Nile crocodiles, Nile monitors, and humans. Its size is so fascinating that it's been exported to zoos and pet trades. In addition, scientists have found a new kind of a widow spider in Africa, and it may be the deadliest in the entire globe. The dreaded black widow is closely related to the Pindar button spider, which was found for the first time in 28 years. Furthermore, according to Barbara Wright, the new species discoverer, its bite will be just as potent as that of its well-known cousin and necessitate medical attention. Despite the fact that the toxicology of this particular species has not yet been completed, she stated that all widow spiders, genus Lectrodectus, are regarded as medically significant due to their highly neurotoxic venom. Humans who are exposed to the venom may experience pain, palpitations, sweating, and vomiting. 3 of the 9 deadliest spiders in the world are previously undiscovered species of the widow spider. However, Lectrodectus bites rarely cause mortality, and it is probable that the same will be true of the new species. The Pindar button, which is unique to South Africa's critically endangered sand woodlands, may be the world's biggest widow spider and is undoubtedly the biggest in Africa. Because the female has bright red markings on both her back and her underside rather than just one, it can be distinguished from other spiders of her kind. Additionally, the spider produces distinctive purple egg sacs, each of which contains about 600 hatchlings. This is a significant discovery in the arachniverse. Speaking of a significant discovery, while playing in the field of his father's farm near Leidenburg, Mpumalanga, South Africa, a small boy named Karl Ludwig Luddy von Bezing, now a well-known Austrian South African mineral collector, noticed fragments of some unidentified heads. A few years later, he went back to the region, and over the course of several years, he gathered the fragments of 7 heads. This significant discovery is known as the Leidenburg heads on a global scale. These objects represent one of the earliest types of African sculpture in southern Africa. There are 7 hollow terracotta sculptures, each of which bears the name of the location where it was found in the late 1950s. Excavations indicate that the skulls may have been intentionally burned and buried rather than simply thrown away or forgotten. The function of the heads is unclear to date. Little is known about the people who made the masks, but judging by how carefully they were buried, the people who did so must have thought highly of the objects. On the forehead, temples, and in the space between the eyes, the heads exhibit scarification marks, scars purposefully made to make patterns on the flesh. 6 of the heads are human, and the 7th is a fake animal head of some sort. 2 of the 7 heads are large enough to serve as helmets and are topped with little animal figurines. The other 5 have a hole in each side of the neck that was probably used to connect them to a costume or other object. African masks frequently have animal motifs. They stand in for an animal's spirit, and the person wearing the mask takes on the characteristics of that animal. This enables communication with the animal, such as asking it to stay away from the village. In other instances, the animal represents virtue. The buffalo, hyena, hawk, crocodile, and antelope are the most frequently seen animals depicted by masks. One of the most popular animal masks is the antelope, and a little unidentified animal is perched on one of the Leidenberg heads. So what function did this mysterious animal serve for those who designed the Leidenberg heads? Although archaeologists are still unsure of their exact use, they have hypothesized that it was probably during initiation rituals, that is, during the rites of enactment that marked the shift to a new social rank, or maybe membership in an exclusive group, that they were utilized. The only option is to make educated guesses about the purpose and significance of a head like this one in the absence of contemporaneous written sources.
The sacred crocodiles of Bazule. Crocodiles are often seen as vile creatures you don't want to mess around with. But in a small village in Burkina Faso, it is not unusual to see someone sitting atop the fearsome reptiles. People in Bazule, around 30 kilometers from the capital, Ouagadougou, share their pond with more than 100 of the razor-toothed creatures. According to the legend, the village was amidst an agonizing drought when the crocodiles led women to a hidden pond where the population could slake their thirst. Not only do the reptiles represent the soul of the village, but if one of the crocodiles dies, they are buried and even given a funeral as if they were humans. The people of Burkina Faso also believe that if something bad is going to happen, the crocodiles cry out loudly, and the elders have to interpret the cries and make wishes to ward off bad luck. The unique and disbelieving connection between humans and crocodiles has attracted a lot of tourists from around the world to the small village and has been a big money-making source. Unfortunately, due to global warming, the famous pond known as these creatures' home is shrinking and has left us to think that these reptiles will once more guide their human friends to a new watery home.
Zimbabwe literally means House of Stone, so it's not surprising that a 720-hectare site on which an ancient city was built could be found in the country. In fact, the site is named Greater Zimbabwe and is a marvel of what ancient people could achieve with stones without using mortar. The ruins of Great Zimbabwe contain walls as tall as 36 feet. These are impressive, but exactly what many of the structures were meant for is not well known. Sadly, we may never know because the earlier written texts from Great Zimbabwe date from the 17th century, so any clues scientists get are totally dependent on the ruins. However, the ruins are obviously of great importance to the people of Zimbabwe, as the country's flag shows a bird sitting on a pedestal, a representation of a type of artifact found at Great Zimbabwe. Moreover, scientists have barely scratched the surface because much of Great Zimbabwe remains unexcavated. While the total site covered 720 hectares, the size of the city was much smaller than that, meaning different parts of the city were inhabited at different times. The earliest settlement dates back to 900 AD. Different legends have come up about Great Zimbabwe, including that it wasn't built by Africans, but by the Phoenicians or even Europeans. Other people claim the city was built by Queen Sheba, mentioned in the Bible. Zimbabwe is not the only African country with ancient ruins, as South Africa boasts of Bokoni ruins in Machadodorp. This place is also known as Ntokozweni, which means place of happiness. What is special about Bokoni is how long evidence shows the place has been inhabited, dating back to about 200,000 years, about the time mitochondrial Eve is believed to have lived. Mitochondrial Eve is actually the theoretical mother of all modern women and is believed to have been of African origin. This is why the ruined cattle kraals in Bokoni are a very big deal to archaeologists all over the world. Scientists have been scouring the landscape for more clues as to the origin of mankind, but they haven't found anything satisfactory. The ruins contain thousands of stone walls that are arranged in a complex form that really makes sense when viewed from the sky. They contain geometric shapes so large that it's unimaginable how the workers built them without the help of modern tools. A scientist named Michael Tellinger attempts to provide a radical explanation for the structures of Bokoni. He claims that the stone circles and walls extend throughout southern Africa and were used to conduct sound frequency from the earth into some other form of energy used to, wait for it, mine gold. Another scientist postulates traders from India were involved with building the terraces, which they used as astrological clocks, and they did this all the while intermarrying with the local tribes and creating the Hottentot race. But then, as you can expect, some people claim these walls were built by aliens. But until we find an explanation, any of the theories about the origin of the walls of Bokoni could be true.
Seven-colored earth of Chamarel. Rainbow colors in the sky may be common, but in Africa you can find all 7 colors of the rainbow coexisting in a small patch of land in Mauritius. The seven-colored Earths in Mauritius is a rare geological oddity that proves brown is far from the only color of dirt. Surrounded by forests and spreading out in 7 distinct colors from red, brown, violet, green, blue, purple, and yellow, these psychedelic dunes were formed due to a rare confluence of volcanic activity, which brought a number of different elements together, each with their own distinct hue. The beautiful colors of the sand dunes attract tourists from all parts of the world, but how they are able to retain their separate shades when mixed together and avoid erosion despite Mauritius's heavy and frequent rains are the mysteries the scientists are still trying to solve. The colored earth of Chamarel has become one of Mauritius's main tourist attractions and has increased the beauty of the island by tenfold. But the visitors are not allowed to climb on the dunes, and a wooden fence is placed so they can look at the scenery from the observation outpost placed along it. The seven-colored earths is undoubtedly one of the prettiest and most fascinating phenomena and is intriguing to look at. Number 10. Underwater waterfall illusion. If you're a traveler, you would have seen all kinds of waterfalls, from the world-renowned Niagara Falls to the fleeting, spectacular so-called Firefall in Yosemite National Park. But there are high chances you haven't seen an underwater waterfall that appears to be a waterfall submerged in the ocean itself. Mauritius took the world by storm with the fascinating discovery of an underwater waterfall. Just to be clear, it isn't an actual waterfall but rather an illusion which can only be seen from up top. Mauritius is a relatively young island and it happens to sit on an ocean shelf raised above seabed level. From the island shore there is a gradual slope leading out to a sudden 2.5-mile drop to the ocean floor. Thanks to this marine topography, various shades of blue are visible due to the movement of sand and silt deposits along these slopes. The waterfall is actually an optical illusion formed by sand and silt deposits sliding down the slope and then dropping into the abyss. The sand and silt run off in a way that makes it look like they're pouring down a waterfall or like the entire island is being sucked down a vast drain. It is challenging to capture this beautiful illusion from the shore, but if you go above, you can see what appears to be the flowing water. The tourists are given helicopter tours to help them see this spectacular effect that is breathtaking indeed. The mystery spheres. The mysterious metal spheres known as Klerksdorp spheres have been the subject of much attention and speculation by various fringe groups, including Christian and Hindu creationists. These dark reddish-brown, somewhat flattened spheres range in size from less than a centimeter to 10 centimeters across, and some of them have 3 parallel grooves running around the equator. These metallic objects have been dated to 3 billion years old, a time when the Earth was too young to host intelligent life capable of creating these spheres. These objects claim to provide evidence suggesting intelligent beings' presence well before humans were supposed to exist. Some people also suggest they were formed of the same phenomenon found across the Earth, concretion, where clay, silt, or some flexible material fills in the gap between layers of minerals. Over time, the stone appears to shrink into a curved shape, and the lines across the surface form naturally. While there is a lot of controversy about the mystery spheres, they are still an interesting discovery. Number 2. Giraffe with a crooked neck. Jemina, the Santa Barbara Zoo giraffe, known around the world for its crooked neck, attracted the attention of people from around the globe. There were plenty of urban legends surrounding Jemina's crooked neck, from the scandalous charges that she was once dropped on her head by the wranglers who took her from the African plains, to the more biological rumors that she came out of the womb that way. But the true story, according to the Santa Barbara Zoo, is that the giraffe was born normally at the San Diego Wild Animal Park and started developing the kink in her neck after she came to Santa Barbara. The crooked neck didn't cause any pain to Jemina, and it was more related to the unstable joints caused by benign bony growth. Jemina is definitely interesting to look at, but sadly, she died at the age of 21 due to an unknown illness. Number 1. The White Lady of Africa. The White Lady is a rock painting located on a panel on a small rock overhang deep within Brandberg Mountain and has long been an archaeological dilemma. In 1917, a German geologist named Reinhard Mark was exploring the Brandberg when he took refuge in a rock shelter and found a painted panel above him. The painting portrays several human figures as well as oryxes on a rock panel in which the White Lady is the most detailed human figure in the group. Apart from her, the other human figures have less detail and are mostly completely black or completely white. The frieze appears to have spiritual significance, as several animals have human hind legs or human faces, conveying the merging of worlds as the healer enters into a trance in the spiritual world to bring healing and request rain and abundant rain game for his people. The painting was probably made of ochre, charcoal, manganese, and hematite, with blood serum, egg white, and casein used as binding agents. The rock paintings are estimated to be approximately 1,000 to 2,000 years old. While much is not known about the painting and its origin, it is still a unique discovery.